Live from our Kokomlemle studios here in Accra. Good afternoon. This is News Today. My name is Kenneth Jesse, and JoyNews is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, another major confrontation looms in Parliament today as both the majority and minority signal readiness for a repeat of yesterday's disorderly scenes on the floor. And amid Tuesday's chaos, lawmakers pushed through an unprecedented 21 budget allocations, many of them passed with little to no scrutiny. We have reactions to yesterday's events on the floor. Also ahead this afternoon, Supreme Court dismisses application by Chief Executive Officer of defunct Mensgo seeking to overturn a High Court order directing him to open his defense. We got details as aggrieved customers welcome the Apex Court's decision. Ghana Water Company cautions uninterrupted water supply may be strained unless funding levels improve. We got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 1 hour. Don't go anywhere. Hello again. Let's begin from Parliament, where the minority in the House is accusing Speaker Alban Bagbin and the majority of illegality for conducting business in the midst of Tuesday's chaos. What was intended as a peaceful protest against the declaration of the Kpandai seat vacant degenerated into a brawl as the minority insisted the Parliament must withdraw the December 4th letter asking the Electoral Commission to conduct a by-election in the constituency. In the midst of the chaos, the majority was able to conduct government business, approving budget allocations to a number of ministries. Deputy Minority Whip Habib Idrisu says the businesses conducted are not valid.
That the chamber was divided, that the marshal office and security have to be there for it to pass. This is a disgrace to our democracy. It is something that has never happened in the parliamentary democracy, and it is something that is very shameful to the majority side. That you need to pass your motions, you need to pass your budget, that we have security personnel who are in the chamber guiding and safeguarding the speaker before such things have been passed.
I understand that you, as far as the minority is concerned, no business has been conducted on the floor.
As far as the majority and minority we are concerned, there is no single business that has happened today because the parliamentary proceeding, you have been covering parliamentary proceedings. Have you ever seen that they have taken the maize from its original position while parliamentary business is? The maize is the symbol of authority to parliament. So when it is out of where it is, that means that there's no authority of parliament. And anything that has happened is illegal. It has never happened. From 1992, they have never passed a motion in parliament where they have taken the maize from its original position. It has never happened that the marshal to parliament, it is guiding the maize whilst motions are being passed. This is an illegality. This is a disgrace to our parliamentary process.
Very finally, if you get the Hansards of proceedings today and you see business being conducted, what will your side of the House do?
Oh, we will advise ourselves because we know that it is very illegal. It has never happened. It's shameful for our democracy. And even you media men, have you ever one day see that the maize is taken from its original position whilst parliamentary proceedings? What's the essence of the maize? The maize is the symbol of authority to parliament. When the maize is standing still, it means that we are doing our businesses. It's only at consideration stage that it is tilted to relax the rules. At this stage, the rules was not relaxed. The maize was taken and it is illegal, and we advise our
continue tomorrow with this process.
Continue? Definitely. Our protest was very simple. Our protest was to the effect that the letter the clerk wrote to the Electoral Commission was illegal. So what we are saying, we have stated it, and tomorrow we know that other things will be going. We will advise ourselves what is going to happen.
Deputy Minority Whip Habib Idrisu. Meanwhile, the majority says they will not allow the minority to distract any business on the floor, as they vowed to meet them with full force if they do not relent on that agenda. Maxwell Lukuto is MP for Southton.
There should be civility, and the Speaker is the leader of the House. He says that this is the way we should conduct business, and you say once I speak, nobody else will speak. Who does that? It doesn't happen in any civilized democracy. And the far we have come, we shouldn't be allowing some of these things to be happening. I don't think we should. We will not allow them to take us for a ride. If we do that, it means we are sleeping on our ass, and Ghanaians will not be happy with us.
Do I get the impression that the minority will meet the same force from the majority if what we saw today persists tomorrow?
No, they will meet greater force, because if you share our numbers, we'll match them 2-1. And so if they want, they should come. We are ready for them. We will not allow them to disrupt government business. That's why we will not allow. Because we have a timeline within which we have to pass appropriations and ensure that next year everything that we have budgeted for runs. And so why would they take us for granted? Kpandai is just a seat. Many other seats were rerun. There were by-elections in a lot of constituencies, and seats were rerun. What is special about Kpandai that everybody have to be held to ransom? No, we will not agree to that.
And if you take a good guess, you will notice that Parliament is bracing for yet another turbulent sitting today, as both the NDC majority and the MPP minority threaten a repeat of yesterday's chaotic confrontations that brought proceedings to a standstill. The leadership on both sides have taken entrenched positions on the declaration of the Kpandai seat vacant following a ruling by the Tamale High Court to an election dispute brought against the MPP candidate Matthew Nyindam, who had won the seat a year ago. Well, the uproar did not only disrupt deliberations but also created conditions under which an unprecedented 21 budget allocations were approved, many of them hurriedly passed with minimal or no scrutiny. James Avaji captured the scenes in the following report.
At about 12:30 p.m., First Deputy Speaker Bernard gavelled in the House for start of business. Just after the correction of voting proceedings for the previous sitting, Minority Chief Frank sprang to his feet and Order 43 to make an urgent statement against the letter declaring the Kpandai seat vacant.
We are totally against it. In this House, we have worked in collaboration and in cooperation with our colleagues in the majority. Even where you don't have your numbers, we have allowed you to lay papers and do all manner of things. This decision will not stay. This decision will not stay. And Speaker, we humbly call upon you to instruct the clerk. The clerk must be instructed forthwith to withdraw that letter and act according to law. I shall submit.
But this was only the beginning of a day-long protest compelling the First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiafo, to suspend sitting for a while for heads to cool off.
Honorable members, I will suspend sittings for 5 minutes, and I expect to see the leaders of the House at the lobby.
When the House returned after over an hour, the agitations escalated even more, with the minority members resorting to banging of tables and noisy chants when the Speaker announced that the majority must also be allowed to make a statement on the matter.
And we are telling you this, Chief, we'll get it. Government business will suffer, and you are going to suffer.
At this point, Speaker Alban Bagbin moved in to save the situation. But after several failed attempts to call the minority to order, Speaker Bagbin employed Order 1263 of the Standing Orders of the House and rose to his feet to compel all members to immediately sit in silence. But this was not a lasting solution. The minority got even more agitated as they moved to fill the median of the floor to cause more distraction, escalating into a brawl between the two sides.
Total chaos, total breakdown of order here on the floor of Parliament. Looks like looks like a scuffle between the minority MP, Honorable Stephen, who they popularly call Sticker, Stephen Amwa, there in a scuffle with another minority MP. None of the MPs would listen to the speaker. At every now and then, an MP just flew into the air. The document on the table of the clerk of the House.
In the midst of the chaos, however, the Speaker and the majority leadership are shielded in silence and focus as they conduct a number of government businesses regardless, approving a total of 21 budget allocations to various ministries, agencies and departments in excess of 47 billion Ghana cedis.
Mr. Speaker, I applied wisdom. And that is why I can now confidently say that the NDC has been successful today.
But as far as the minority is concerned, all businesses conducted are null and void. Habibi Drisu is first deputy minority whip.
And there is no single business that has happened today because the parliamentary proceeding, you have been covering parliamentary proceedings. Have you ever seen that they have taken the maize from its original position while parliamentary business is on? So what we are saying, we have stated it, and tomorrow we know that other things will be going. We will advise ourselves what is going to happen.
They will meet greater force because if you share our numbers, we'll match them 2-1. And so if they want, they should come. We are ready for them. We will not allow them to disrupt government business. That's why we will not allow.
The House resumes Wednesday afternoon for another possible showdown over the Kpandai seat vacancy saga. James Savage, Parliament House, Accra.
And as my colleague James Savage noted, there were 21 approvals yesterday. That's the big figure. Let's go through them. And this is it, 21 budget allocations. That's the number of businesses that were transacted in Parliament yesterday. The total figure is amounting to 47 billion Ghana cedis. So these are the ministries who were allocated funds yesterday. So the Lands Ministry, for example, was allocated 2.18 billion Ghana cedis. The Finance Ministry was allocated 4.67 billion Ghana cedis. The Ministry of Food and Agric was allocated 3.37 billion Ghana cedis. The Interior Ministry was allocated 12.5 billion Ghana cedis. The Energy Ministry was allocated 3.93 billion Ghana cedis. The Defense Ministry was allocated 10.77 billion Ghana cedis. The Environment Ministry was allocated 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. The Government Machinery was allocated 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. The Judicial Service was allocated 1.09 billion Ghana cedis. The Attorney General and Ministry of Justice was allocated 677 million Ghana cedis. So those were the major budget allocations and approvals that were approved last night. And really, this is not the first time that we are witnessing such a chaos. We've been witnessing this chaos at least for the past 4 years. You do recall at the beginning of the 8th Parliament in 2021, there was chaos that happened there. So let's give you a pictorial view, really, of what has transpired so far. 4 major chaos has happened in Parliament in just 5 years. 4. We've seen 4 major chaos happening in Parliament. And the one I mentioned earlier, that was on the 7th of January 2021. The chaos erupted during the election of Alban Bagbin as Speaker. So what measures really were taken? There was public condemnation, of course, but no formal investigative committee was formed. We've not heard anything at all from Parliament ever since. On the 20th of December 2021, that was a midnight brawl over e-levy bill approval. What happened was that the Speaker suspended proceedings, and just like the previous one, no direct sanctions were meted out. On the 1st of February 2025, just this year, there was a physical altercation in the appointment committee's vetting of ministers. 4 MPs were suspended and a committee was set up for investigation. The findings, however, just like the previous 2, were not made public. And the latest one is what happened just yesterday, and the chaos was over the declaration of the Kpandai seat vacant. And as we all know, we've not heard of any measures that have been taken, so we are waiting to see if any at all will happen. Let's take you to the chamber and speak to our resident parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, who is joining us on Zoom. Kweku, so what's the latest on the floor? Have the minority and majority side started appearing before the House?
Well, Ken, sitting was expected to start midday. It's just a little past midday now. Sitting hasn't commenced. But you see behind me, the leadership of the minority already taking their seats, led by the Chief Whip, Frank Anodompre, and his 2 deputies, Jerry Ahmed Shaib and Habib Idrisu. All of them have already taken their seat. In fact, they are strategizing now with another member of their colleague. Our indication, and what we are learning is that they are going to continue in their, what they call a righteous obstruction to what they say is a decision by Parliament that will upend the legitimacy of an election that has already happened. And they know, and they've said that the member of Parliament is challenging the decision currently in the Court of Appeal. And so if for anything at all, Parliament should stay its hands on this matter until that appeal has been exhausted. Already, they also have a matter currently pending in the Supreme Court. So they are going to continue doing that. And so our indication from all of the things that have been told us is that the minority will continue in their protest that they say should force the hands of the Parliament of Ghana to do what is right. Because as far as they are concerned, the decision that has been taken by the clerk to Parliament to write to the EC is not appropriate. And so we are going to hear more when Parliament sits any moment from now, an indication of whether or not there's been any resolution. Yesterday also, Ken, let me say this, the Speaker had indicated that he was going to give a ruling on this matter. He has not done so. Perhaps we're going to see that today or tomorrow or before close of day Friday. And so, Ken, that is the situation in Parliament right now.
Well, conspicuously missing yesterday was the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin. Do we have any indication that he's going to be in the House today?
Not at all. In fact, Alexander Afenyo-Markin has been at ECOWAS Parliament. In fact, it is subject for which he has been referred to the Privileges Committee, but he's currently still in Abuja, where ECOWAS Parliament is sitting, with a number of both NDC and MPP MPs already there as well. And so he will not be here today from the indication that I'm getting. He thinks that he has a very, very capable group of leaders who can take over in his absence. And so Alexander Afenyo-Markin will not be here today. But you see the man leading the charge, Frank Anodompre, together with his deputies, already seated, strategizing for what is to happen next today. Kweku
Asante reports to us from Parliament. Thank you, Kweku. Let's take you to the court now, because the Supreme Court has struck out an application by Nana Appiah Mensah, popularly known as Nam1, challenging a High Court ruling from last year which ordered him to open his defense in the ongoing criminal trial. Mr. Appiah Mensah appealed the decision at the appeals court, but the request was dismissed, prompting him to escalate the matter to the Supreme Court, which has now also declined to grant relief. He's facing 39 charges, including selling gold without a license, fraudulent breach of trust, defrauding by false pretense, and money laundering after allegedly using his company to swindle unsuspecting individuals. Convener of the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of Men's Gold, Frederick Forson, described the ruling as a step in the right direction.
For us, right from day one, we believe the Attorney General had a good case. And so after the prima facie case was determined, we were very positive that the trial was going to go on smoothly. However, when the prima facie case was determined, Nam1 challenged the ruling of the courts at the Court of Appeal, and that was refused. And satisfied with the ruling from the Court of Appeal, he went further to the Supreme Court here. And we've been here for the past almost 1 year, and today the law lords have refused his application because he sought the court to give him a special leave so that they will halt the trial at the High Court. But today, the court said no. And so what it means, our understanding is that the trial at the High Court can continue. And so today we also told that they will file their reasons on the 17th of this month. We shall go back to the High Court as was determined the last time on the 16th of this month, which is next week. So we are very happy and we appreciate what the court has done.
Away from the Supreme Court, diplomatic tension between Ghana and Israel is escalating as Ghana accuses Israeli authorities of inhumane and traumatic treatment of Ghanaian travelers entering the country. The government says it is considering appropriate reciprocal action following the detention and deportation of 7 Ghanaians, including 4 members of parliamentary delegation attending an international cybersecurity conference in Tel Aviv. More from a Ministry of Foreign Affairs statement. Has observed with concern that since Sunday, the 7th of December, Ghanaian travelers have been deliberately targeted and subjected to inhumane and traumatic treatment. It says that on the day in issue, 7 Ghanaian travelers to Israel were detained at the Ben Gurion International Airport without justifiable cause. The 3 remaining were deported on the next available flight and have since arrived in Ghana. It says that it is worth noting and highlighting that Ghana and Israel have enjoyed cordial relations for more than 6 decades with considerable high volumes of travel by citizens of both countries. This condemnable conduct by Israeli authorities is extremely provocative, unacceptable, and inconsistent with our friendly historical relations. And it ends by saying that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will this morning summon officials of the Israeli embassy in Accra to convey our displeasure in the strongest possible terms. Those are portions of the statement released by Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs earlier today. And in other stories this afternoon, the Ghana Water Company is cautioning that uninterrupted water supply may be strained unless funding levels improve. The Trades Unions Congress on Monday asked government to immediately suspend the recently announced increases in electricity and water tariffs, insisting that the increments are unfair, untimely, and violate the principles of social partnership agreed between Labour and the state, warning that the TUC will fiercely resist any tariff adjustment that threatens the 9% wage increment approved for 2026. Speaking on PM Express on Tuesday, Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Shafiq Suleiman, defended the process, insisting all parties, including consumers, were considered before the new tariffs were approved.
The consumer, and also what is adequately reasonable for the utility service providers to be able to also, use to sustain the provision of this very important service to the consumer. So we did a balancing act, and that is not easy at all, and further consultations to try as much as possible. But the most important issue, as I've indicated, is their investment. What the 15% did was to actually capture the most critical investments that Ghana Water, for instance, will require to be able to at least sustain their current operations and possibly push them a little bit to also invest in new extensions, building new laboratories. The most important, building new laboratories to be able to test the quality of water that the consumer is getting at the pump at the end of, at every point in time.
In a related development, communications manager for the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Marty, says the company's operations depend entirely on the resources it receives and will only be able to operate with the funding needed.
For now, we have admitted every time that there's a gap between demand and supply. Now, to enable us bridge that gap, we need to do a lot of investments, including building new infrastructure like treatment plants, extending pipelines, and is this 15.9% adequate to enable us save enough money or to clear our books to enable us even go for a facility to expand our facility? That is impossible. So then we will try to keep the taps on, but then it can't be 24/7. Okay, let's admit that we can only keep the taps on 24/7 when we have built new treatment plants, when we've extended pipelines and all that.
The Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Rashid Pelpo, says government remains committed to resolving all outstanding concerns raised by organised labour.
The system operates well. It operates well because the working population of the people.
Apologies for the quality of sound there. Now, the Consumer Protection Agency and the Food and Drugs Authority has launched a major operation to clamp down on fake and unregistered baby diapers on the market in the Ashanti region. Well, the exercise, which targets importers and traders dealing in counterfeit and unapproved baby diapers, forms part of efforts to protect consumers, especially babies, from harmful products.
Regional Director of the FDA said the operation underscores the authority's mandate to regulate, register and test products before they are allowed onto the market. According to him, several children have suffered complications after using the fake diapers, with some cases resulting in hospital admissions. He stated that the exercise will continue until all unregistered diapers and substandard consumer products are removed from the shelves.
Before a product is put on the market, the FDA, that's what we call registration. Some of the requirements are that we test in the laboratory to ensure that the standards comply. Unfortunately, we cannot attest to what it is because it's not been registered by us. And we've had reports from the Consumer Protection Agency where when people take such very fake or unregistered diapers, the kids have a lot of complications. Some have been admitted to hospitals, so it is not something that the FDA takes kindly. We take it very serious. Well, I won't say be worried, but it's part of, like I said, our continuous work as FDA, because we keep monitoring products on the markets. Once we register a product, we don't go to sleep. We monitor to ensure that those that we've registered are exactly as was what was registered, and those that are not registered, we take it out of the market. So it's a continuous thing, that is not a one-off activity that we'll do today. We'll plan again based on our risk and our data and do another one anytime soon. So we cannot predict. We come out as and when the data show that we have to come out.
Nana Prempe Eduhine, Executive Director for Mediation and Arbitration at the Consumer Protection Agency, said the CPA will continue to ensure that all products on the Ghanaian market are safe for use. He advised consumers to check and confirm FDA approval on all products before purchasing.
Consumer Protection Agency, luckily for us, next year will be our 20 years in existence in Ghana, have made sure that whatever that we eat, we drink, we wear, everybody is a consumer. So we have to make sure that whatever that you eat or drink have to be protected, and that's the reason why we are here. What you have even seen in the market today, that so many people are doing the wrong things so many a time. I can say that FDA with other statutory bodies are doing their best, but we are overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed in the market of the things that I saw. There are so many fake products that need to be worked on. But it's not the fault of the FDA or GSA alone. Our borders are porous. People are using any means to bring the product in. I was at the port when somebody decided to bring second-hand clothing, but not knowing it was diapers that were in the product and all that. So people are doing so many wrong things. So we all as consumers should be worried and should be careful.
David Opoku's report, read to you.
The Group Chief Executive Officer of Agri Impact Limited, Daniel Akwe, has disclosed that Ghana's post-harvest losses are staggering, a whopping $1.9 billion, which is roughly the same amount the country spends on food imports. He laments that farmers work hard to cultivate and harvest crops, but lack proper storage facilities, leading to massive losses. Speaking at the Northern Regional Agribusiness Dialogue in Tamale, he stressed that without government investment in warehouses, the efforts put into agric will be futile. Martina Bugri has more.
The Northern Sector Agribusiness Dialogue was aimed at discussing challenges facing the sector and map up solutions to create a conducive environment for businesses to strive. Speaking at the event, Group CEO of Agri Impact, Daniel Akwe, stressed that prioritizing storage infrastructure is crucial, warning that Ghana will keep losing out without it.
Currently, our post-harvest loss is about $1.9 billion, which is equivalent to the food that we import into the country. So we import $2 billion worth of food, and then we waste $1.9 billion worth of food. It is disheartening to see that farmers will go through a tedious production process, produce their crops, and then at the end of the day, there is no storage and a lot of the produce go bad. What I'm saying is that if, as a country, we lose $1.9 billion and we inject $13 billion, much as we know that we have done well in allocating $13 billion onto the agriculture and agribusiness sector, it is important to put premium attention on agro-processing and post-harvest losses.
Alhaji Babaje, who represented the Northern Regional Minister, emphasized that agribusiness is crucial for livelihood and food security.
In the Northern region, our agribusiness sector is not only a source of livelihood for thousands, but also play a crucial role in food security and national growth. However, the sector is faced with numerous challenges, ranging from climatic change, impact on the market access hurdles that threaten our agricultural productivity.
The keynote speaker, head of Budget, Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness and Industry, Michael Opoku, stated that investing in agribusiness infrastructure can unlock the sector's vast potential, driving growth and development.
Strengthening agricultural value chains and agribusiness infrastructure is critical to enable industries to source, process, and distribute competitively. Developing local supply chains will provide industries with a stable and reliable source of raw materials. Enhancing agricultural value chains will improve productivity, reduce post-harvest losses, and increase value addition. Investing in agribusiness infrastructure, such as storage facilities, transportation networks, processing equipment, will also support the growth of the industry. The focus should be on improving competitiveness and efficiency in agribusiness operations to drive industry growth and crop creation. If we are able to address these issues, Ghana can unlock the potential of its agribusiness sector, drive industrial growth, and achieve sustainable economic development.
Christmas in Ghana has always been defined by music, and as culture and technology evolve, so does the sound of the season. What began with choir-led carols and hymn-based celebrations has grown into a dynamic blend of high life, gospel, hip life, and Afrobeat, shaped increasingly by digital platforms. In the early years, traditional carols such as O Come, All Ye Faithful and Joy to the World filled churches and communities with messages of faith, unity and reflection. Rodalyn Abensa has more in this report.
Christmas in Ghana has always been defined by music. And as culture and technology evolve, so does the sound of the season. What began with choir-led carols and hymn-based celebrations has grown into a dynamic blend of high life, gospel, hip life, and Afrobeat, shaped increasingly by digital platforms. In the early years, traditional carols such as "Oh Come, All Ye Faithful" and "Joy to the World" filled churches and communities with messages of faith, unity, and reflection. By the 1990s and 2000s, Ghanaian musicians began infusing local rhythms into Western melodies, creating festive songs that quickly became staples on radio, television, and at public gatherings. These tracks made Christmas celebrations more vibrant, more communal, and unmistakably Ghanaian.
Felix cannot dance. Felix cannot dance.
Today, The rise of streaming platforms and social media has transformed how Ghanaians enjoy Christmas music. Contemporary artists now release Afrobeats, gospel and hip life inspired holiday singles that trend online, especially among younger listeners who curate their own festive playlist. This modern wave coexists with older traditions, from solemn hymns in church to upbeat digital remixes on TikTok and YouTube. Ghana's Christmas soundtrack now bridges generations, preserving the old while amplifying the new.
Everybody say glory, glory, glory to the King.
Dashing through the sun, on the road with glasses on, all along we go.
Through all these changes, the spirit of the season remains constant. Joy, community, and the power of music to bring people together. For Joy News, Rodalyn Abensa's report, read to you.
We have the latest in business after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Business here on JoyNews Today. My name is Winston Taki, and our first business story. MTN Ghana is carrying out its 2025 edition of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence with a strong call to end the rising tide of digital violence against women and children, launching a nationwide campaign in partnership with DOSU to promote safer online practices. Here's more.
MTN Ghana has rolled out the 2025 edition of the Global 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, with a renewed focus on tackling the growing threat of digital violence targeting women and children. The event, held at the Detective Training Academy of the Police Depot in Accra, was organized in partnership with the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Service. Speaking to over 100 learners from the Depot cluster of schools, Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer of MTN Ghana, Adra Afe, emphasized that the rising shift of everyday activities into digital spaces has created new avenues for abuse and hence the need to address this growing menace.
Now we are beginning to live our lives on the internet, and a lot of that has moved on into the on the internet as well. Cyberbullying and all kinds of activities that go on against women. This year we are bringing both the boys and the girls together because we believe that for us to be able to address this issue, we have to start talking about it in the very early stages where they are forming their attitudes and behaviors, to show them the impact that this has on their classmates, on their mothers, on their sisters, and to make sure that they report when they see this. They talk to the other students who are not here, and to support them to report. First, you need to understand the issue before you can even identify it, because some of them don't even know that some of the things that they put out there, the insults, the comments that they put out there constitute a crime, or it has a negative impact on the people that they target. So it's important that we start with the children. We show them what they shouldn't be doing on the internet. We talked about cyber hygiene and all that. And then also how they can support others.
She noted that MTN is collaborating with DOSU and the Cybersecurity Authority to intensify nationwide education on the risk and consequences of digital abuse. According to her, MTN's role in providing digital access comes with a responsibility to ensure the internet remains safe and empowering.
We are hoping that we will be able to create more awareness around the digital space, because for MTN, this is the space that we operate in. We believe that everyone deserves the benefits of a modern connected life, and that places a responsibility on us to make sure that the internet is safe. What does it mean to be connected? We are connected because we want to use it positively, and anything that impacts us negatively is something that we should all come together to fight against, and MTN is happy to support that, to ensure that when we say everyone deserves the benefit of a modern connected life, it goes with the positive and rather than the negative.
Over the 16 days campaign period, MTN and DOFSO will roll out a series of nationwide activities, including regional radio interviews, school debate on digital violence prevention, film screenings, community sensitization engagement, and information sessions on victim support services.
In another development, new data from the Ghana Statistical Service has shown that Ghana's economy expanded by 5.5% in the third quarter of 2025. The agricultural sector grew by 8.6%, while the industry sector showed signs of recovery, recording a modest 0.8% growth after contracting last year. The services sector remained the backbone of the Ghanaian economy, expanding by 7.6% and contributing the largest share of GDP of about 40%. We have more business update for you at 1 p.m. on the marketplace. Up next is sports.
Good afternoon. Time now to bring you sports here on JoyNews Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. Ghana Black Galaxies head coach Kasim Mingle has assembled 20 players for a friendly match against South Africa on December 16. Let's take a look at the squad. The players he's called up for this game. The goalkeepers, the likes of Lawrence Ajay and Felix Che of Midiama SC. Lawrence Ajay, he is with Heart of Lions. And we have Kamaradini of Midiama SC, Isaac Afol of FC Samatex, Razak Simpson of Nations FC. These three players, they were part of the Black Stars last year during the AFCON qualifiers. Ebenezer Aban also made a debut for the senior national team against Niger. And Ali Mohammed of House of Oak, he's the only player from the Phobia fraternity who has been called up to be part of the team. Samuel Osei Kufu of Nations FC and Abdul Aziz of Swedro All Blacks. When you go to the midfielders, Kasim Mingo has called up Eche Dogle of Heart of Lions, Nanakusi Asante of Vision FC, Prince Owusu of Midiama SC, and Salim Adams also of Midiama. Prince Owusu, he's been part of the Black Stars in recent times. Emmanuel Alban of Bechem United, Kelvin Nkrumah, who is a product of the Milo Under-13 Championship, recently played for the Black Stars during the friendly matches against Japan and South Korea, has also been called up. Emmanuel Anna of Nations FC, Emmanuel Mafo of Ediana Stars, he was recently voted Player of the Month in the Ghana Premier League, and Rudolph Jr., Nanakwesi Mensah of Studio All Blacks, Samuel Atakumi of Gold Stars, and Seydou Suraj of Dreams FC. These are the players who have been called up for that friendly match against South Africa. The South African team is using it to prepare for the African Cup of Nations that is starting on December 21. Now, let's move on and bring you other stories. It's an interesting sport, something that is quite new in the country. It's called a Padel sport. The 2025 edition, which happens to be the second edition of the Accra Championship, kicked off over the weekend. And my colleague, Abdul Karim Benin, was at the event and has details in this report.
The prestigious event will see at least 16 international teams compete against the Ghanaian team for bragging rights and the lucrative prizes at stake. The international tournament is expected to climax the Ghana Padel season with French, Nigerian and Ivorian teams among the international participants. Professional Padel Association of Ghana President John Noel Said explains what makes the second edition different from the first.
What's special about this tournament is that we have so many teams from outside. We have at least 16 teams from abroad that came to participate in this event. Last year, we had, I think, about 4 or 5 teams. So that's what makes it so special, that we have been recognized around our neighboring countries and European countries like France and and because we have some French players, that this tournament is quite interesting for them to come and play and experience the level and experience the Ghana way. Well, we are thrilled to have so many great players coming this year, and we encourage all the friends to come. We have a player that is 250 in the world. We have a player that's 400 in the world. We have a player that's 600, then 800, 900, 1000, 1001, 1002, 1004, and so on. We have so many professional players ranked in the FIP ranking that are here, and I think we're going to see some incredible paddle, and it's the first time that we see these kinds of players in Ghana.
The Egyptian team of Ali Zakloul and Sherif Maklouf are confident of emerging champions in the men's P250 category.
I'm trying to do whatever I can do for me and my partner to win this tournament. The weather here is very good. All the people are too nice and too kind. We don't need anything except playing this tournament and put 100% in the court. This week, looking forward to win this tournament in Ghana. We're excited. We'll give 100% and we'll try to win the tournament.
The men will compete in the P250 and P50 categories, while the women will battle it out in the P100 category. The tournament will come to a conclusion on Sunday, where the prizes and medals will be handed out to the winners.
And later tonight, the UEFA Champions League can join us on his 103.9 FM as we bring you commentary of the contest between Manchester City and Real Madrid. This is a game media reports is suggesting that it could define the future of Xabi Alonso as head coach of Real Madrid. We'll take a break. When we come back, World News is up next.
In world news this afternoon, sporadic gunfire and explosions have been reported as M23 rebels advance towards a key city in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo in an offensive that has forced thousands to flee across the border into Burundi. Residents and military sources said soldiers were fleeing the assault on them, the last government-held city in the mineral-rich region. U.S. President Donald Trump brokered a peace deal last week between DR Congo's president and Rwanda's president to end the long-running conflict. Shops and schools have closed, with terrified residents staying indoors and fears that rebels had taken control of some government buildings. But the South governor of that country dismissed reports that the rebels were in the city as completely unfounded rumors. And elsewhere in Eastern Europe, Ukraine is ready for elections. That is according to the country's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, after U.S. President Donald Trump repeated claims Kyiv was using war to avoid holding them. Now, Zelensky's 5-year term as president was due to end in May 2024, but elections have been suspended in Ukraine since martial law was declared after Russia's invasion. Speaking to reporters following Trump's comments in a wide-ranging political interview, Zelensky said he would ask for proposals to be drawn up which could challenge the law or change the law. Elections could be held in the next 60 to 90 days if security for the vote was guaranteed with the help of U.S. and other allies. Showbiz is next.
Thank you for staying. I am Lois Shola-Adeyemi, and it's time for Showbiz. Let's get into our stories. Now, Ghana's festive calendar is about to get even bigger as Cirque de Soir, the international renowned luxury theatrical spectacle, makes a grand return to Accra. The show's comeback not only promises breathtaking performances, but also reinforces Ghana's growing reputation as a leading destination for high-end global entertainment. Nicholas Ekoyamwa has more in this report.
The world-famous luxury theatrical experience, Cirque de Soir, is making a grand return to Ghana this festive season, setting the stage for a series of exclusive and high-end events. Its comeback signals yet another strong endorsement of Ghana's rising reputation as a premier global hub for luxury entertainment. Organized by Lionheart Events, Cirque de Soir will once again take over the Savannah in Cantonment, delivering its signature mix of avant-garde circus artistry, high-energy music and top-tier nightlife. Speaking to Joy News, executive producer of Cirque de Soir, Tamara Jonah, is promising an even more breathtaking experience this year.
No, I think when we first started 5 years ago, it was a concept, and then you go into somebody's office and say, oh, I'm doing a cirque, and they're like, oh, what is that? They're going to be animals. You're like, no, they're not going to be animals, you know. So it's what I like about Africa, and especially Ghana, where we are now. We're opening doors to the creative industry, and we're also allowing people to experience things that, again, wasn't there even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Some of these things just didn't exist within our scope at all. But I like the fact that we're actually listening and hearing creatives out and giving them a platform to be able to show their talents, which is great.
Cirque de Soir goes far beyond a traditional performance. It's a fully immersive fusion of aerial acrobatics, stunning visuals, enchanting soundscapes, and powerful storytelling. Tamara Jonah reveals that this year's edition will spotlight African music as well as aerial performers and creative talent from across Africa and the globe, shaping the show into a truly African yet international spectacle.
Cirque is a Pan-African show. It's a celebration of the African spirit. So everything from your the design to the type of music we're using to the elements when you actually walk in. The script itself, we're focusing on various elements that really encompass what Africa is. We're telling a story, an African story, the celebration of Africa. So it's things through water, it's through earth, it's through wind, it's through fire. And these are all the things that are actually going to be portrayed in the actual acts as you're actually watching the show.
This major international production is also expected to attract thousands from the diaspora and global tourists coming in for December in Ghana and beyond the return. The program features 16 breathtaking shows opening on December 13 and rounding off with a special New Year's Eve performance on December 31st. Nicholas Ekoyamwa's report for Joy News.
Well, and that's about it for Showbiz. For more entertainment stories, please do log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Lois Shola-Adeyemi. Are you going for Cirque de Soir? You're not thinking, we are going together, so you better. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's how we end the Midday Bulletin. My name is Kenneth Jesse. The news team returns at 3 p.m. with the pause. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good afternoon.